Today is Thursday, of course. It is the Thursday before the Super Bowl, and no better way to get ready for the big game than with Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday. Math Tuesday.
It's Math Tuesday here on Texas Football Today, when we dive into the numbers of Texas high school football and bring you some things that maybe you didn't know about. And boy, I promise you, you didn't know about this.
This is so many arrows.
Nobody ever thought about this. So, we mentioned in the pre-show WrestleMania, right?
Oh.
I'll even mention like boxing.
Did I bring this up by our conversation this morning?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've been working on this for a couple weeks.
We just randomly talk about WrestleMania far too much in this office.
Yeah, exactly right. It was a fun time. And one of the things, like obviously when you play Texas high school football, the ultimate goal of every team is to win the state championship, right?
Yep.
One of the things that I think, because of the nature of Texas high school football and because teams inherently turn over because of age requirements, right, is that it makes dynasties really difficult to build. Like, the reason that we marvel at a team like Gordon for winning, back-to-back state championships and having the state's longest winning streak at 30 games in a row is because it's hard, right? It's hard to turn over and have a new team each and every year and do that. Like, if you are, let's just say like the Los Angeles Dodgers, okay? Mm-hmm. The Los Angeles Dodgers, they're a professional baseball team. They're the reigning World Series champs. They've got a lot of their players under contract. Okay, they are ultimately, if they wanted to keep their team together for as long as they could contractually do it, they would just do it, right? Obviously, in Texas high school football, that doesn't work. And one of the things that I appreciate about sports, like boxing, sports entertainment like wrestling, is maybe even like mixed martial arts like UFC, is something we say a lot, right? Which is, to be the man,
you gotta beat the man.
Gotta beat the man. Right. But there's no like linear way of tracking who is the best team in Texas high school football. It's basically who wins the championship at the end of the year. So that's how I came up with the dumbest thing I've ever come up with. And I'm calling it the belt. Okay? So the idea is that when somebody knocks out, when somebody beats the world heavyweight champion, right? Mm-hmm. They become the world heavyweight champion, right?
Yeah.
And you get the belt, right? That's what happens in UFC, is that if you go in there and you fight your way up to be the number one contender and you get a shot to face the champ and you beat the champ, guess what?
Then you're the champ.
You're the champ.
Like,
you get the belt.
Undisputed.
We don't do that in football.
No.
We don't do that. I think because the season is so long and they're, and ultimately we have put a priority on there's less of an emphasis on a single game or single matchup as opposed to the entirety of the season, and especially in football when it gets to the playoffs. But I think there should be a belt. Plain and simple.
I'm here with that.
Simply, I think there should be 3 belts, and we'll get to that in a moment. And so what I've done is I have retroactively gone back to the year 2000. In the year 2000. And now you may remember that in the year 2000, the winners of what was the largest classification at the time, which was 5A Division I, the state champions that year were the Midland Lee Rebels, now known as Midland Legacy. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. As the 5A Division I state champs in 2000, because we have to pick a time to start, right? I can't go back to like 1920. We don't have records for that. We're going to start in 2000, in this century. I'm going to give Midland Lee a belt, okay? They are the inaugural
belt holder.
Texas high school football world heavyweight champion. Okay? But here's the thing. The next team to beat Midland Lee, now Midland Legacy, takes the belt from them. And then the team that beats them gets the belt. What we're looking for is a linear Texas high school football champion. Now, I've got 3 different belts that I've put together, okay? We've got the World Heavyweight Championship. That is, any team is eligible. It ends up being the largest 2 classifications. There's a spoiler alert. but any team is eligible. We're going to have what's called a lightweight championship or a middleweight championship, which is for the 3 smallest 11-man classifications. So right now it'd be 4A, 3A, and 2A, right? If a 5A team beats a 4A team, they are not eligible to win the middleweight championship. We're setting up weight classes here. And then I also have a 6-man belt. Now today we're only talking, and we'll call that maybe the flyweight belt. We are only talking about the World Heavyweight Championship here, okay? So the largest classification. And I will tell you, through my research, since Midland Lee, now Midland Legacy, won the title in 2000, the final day of the 2000 football season, the title has changed hands 83 times.
Wow.
Okay? If you'll put up the graphic and see this chaos, here is where that belt has traveled. Okay? So the first time it changed hands was literally the next time Midland Legacy played. They did not defend the title a single time. They lost to Longview in week 0. Okay? So then Longview takes the belt. Okay? You can now track throughout the course of the years where the belt has traveled. And there have been some interesting side quests. One thing you will notice is that, for example, every team that ends, it is not necessarily guaranteed that you are going to be the state champion. Like that state champion will hold the belt at the end of the season.
Right, that would be that would be a linear path. You would know that every heavyweight thing is
But I will tell you that every team that finishes in this particular path with the belt is a state champion. Okay? That's just happened to be that. When we get to the middleweights, it changes. There are a couple teams that did not win a state championship but took the belt into the offseason. So you can see all of the transitions and all of the teams that beat them. And some of these teams you can see make a lot of sense, right? If you look at the team that the current belt holder is the North Crowley Panthers. They did that by virtue of beating DeSoto, who had beaten Duncanville, who had beaten North Shore, who had beaten Westlake, right? That's how it goes. There are some strange side paths. There's a couple of years where there's no changes at all. For example, the team that has held the belt the longest continuous tenure is South Lake Carroll. When they won the 2004 state championship, they took the belt from Smithson Valley. They held it for the entirety of the 2005 season, the entirety of the 2006 season. Now, here's where things get interesting. In week 2 of 2007, South Lake Carroll lost. But they lost to Miami Northwestern out of Florida. And we ain't giving the belt.
No.
That is a non-sanctioned match, is what we're going to say. So they held it, South Lake Carroll held the belt until the regional semifinal of the 2007 season when they lost to Abilene. Abilene took the belt from them, ending their 46-week reign as champion, as the linear champion. But what's interesting, so there were times where it went on a long way, and you'll see, but there are also times where it changed hands a ton. For example, if you go and check out in 2003, that's when Converse Judson, the defending state champ, it starts in week 1. They lose to Waco. Okay? In week 1, Waco beats Converse Judson. They take the belt. It then bounces around, I think, let's see, in 2003 alone, it changes hands 10 times. Okay? Changes hands 10 times. Waco to Tyler Lee. Tyler Lee to Lufkin. Lufkin back to Tyler Lee. Tyler Lee to Longview. Longview to Lufkin. Lufkin to Garland. Garland to Allen. Allen to South Lake Carroll. South Lake Carroll to Katy. So there are times where it just goes nuts. And especially if the belt ends up in what ends up being a pretty chaotic district, it will bounce around the district a lot. It happened, for example, most recently in 2017. Rockwall took the belt from Highland Park. That's the only 5A team, team at not the highest classification to finish the year with the belt. It's Highland Park in 2017, or 2016 rather. Rockwall beat them in week 1, but then they get into district play, and it bounces between like Rowlett, Plano, McKinney, Denton Guyer, and Allen. Allen ends up winning the state championship in 2017, so they hang on to the belt. So you can see the path here. And all of these teams have beaten the team that preceded them. Mm-hmm. So right now, North Crowley has held the belt since week 2 when they beat DeSoto. DeSoto held it since they beat Duncanville. And so here's what we're going to do. I'm working currently on the middleweight belt and I'm working on the 6-man belt, right? We're going to track it. And for example, if and when North Crowley loses in 2025, whoever beats them, going to get the belt.
They get the belt.
And I think we should make real belts.
I am all in on that.
I think this is a way of kind of honoring the history of Texas high school football and saying, hey, look, you are the linear Texas high school football champion right now because you have beaten the team that's beaten the team that's beaten the team that's beaten the team. So we're going to get this up on the website. You can see all of the different iterations, all 83, I think it's 84 changes, title changes that we've had in Texas high school football since the year 2000. Some strange teams on there. For example, Irving Nimitz had the belt for a hot minute. Shout out to Houston Memorial, who's had the belt twice.
Yeah.
Strangely. Pflugerville had the belt for a hot minute. And then, by the way, I will also tell you that when you get into the what we're calling the middleweight, where you limit it to only the 3 smallest classifications, you get some teams you haven't thought about in a minute. Some teams you have not thought about in a minute, like, oh, wow, they had it. Now, spoiler alert, Carthage has it a lot.
That seems accurate.
Bounces around East Texas a fair amount. But we will dive into that another time. This is my introduction to the dumbest project I've ever worked on, the belt.
You're a sicko.
Okay? Looking at the linear Texas high school football state champion. Right now, the world heavyweight champion of Texas high school football is the North Crowley Panthers. They have the linear belt. Who will beat North Crowley? Whoever does, they're taking home some hardware. So there you have it. The belt. And that is Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.